Hello and welcome. Thank you for joining me to learn a little bit more about how to get better at Age of Empires 4. I'm Paragon RG. We just finished a three-part series on map control, what it means, how to do it, what it feels like if you don't have it, things like that. Something I didn't mention at the time is that I wanted to talk about map control because I actually just finished reading a book about the Mongolian conquests. Real small one, nice and concise. I've read about this stuff before, but it always inspires me to think about like how to conquer a large area and manage it. And of course, they didn't do the best job at managing it, but they didn't do the worst either. Things like religious tolerance, promotion of and protection of trade, things like that allowed them to expand all over Asia surprisingly effectively. Anyway, I wanted to bring that up because I think that's pretty cool. What I want to talk about today, and possibly the next few episodes here, is a little bit different. Something I struggle at in games, I think pretty much everyone struggles at this, is how to manage your balance of resources. There's a couple aspects to this, right? One is how many villagers are on each resource. Of course, that doesn't match necessarily how many resources of each thing you have. It's going to depend on what units you're making. There's a couple concepts here I want to dig into. Sort of the villagers act a little bit like the velocity of your resource income, and then it's easy to sort of decouple that how do I put it? It's easy to decouple that with the number of resources you have in a bad way, and we want to kind of decouple that in a good way. So what I thought we would do is watch a few games. Today I'm going to be keeping an eye on the player Zalami, and he's a beast. Something to know about Zalami is that he is not a particularly fast player. So in our case, I think this is a good thing. What we want to do is watch what he gets up to. His decision making is generally on point. So we'll watch the game from his point of view. Now in this game, he is playing as the Delhi Sultanate, which he very often does. One of his problems in a tournament setting is that he plays too much Delhi. So if you ban Delhi, he's in a much worse position. He's playing against Tilted, who is playing as the Chinese. And this map is Mongolian Heights, so it should be single river down the middle here with a player on either side. Delhi is pretty good on this map. And the reason is because they have fishing ships that can shoot. Obviously, that's a pretty big deal. Pretty much whoever your opponent is, it lets you apply a lot of pressure in the Dark Age. Though we've also seen players do things like place a dock here and then just wall this off. And now your fishing ships can't get there, right? So players have over time learned how to deal with this. So let's get back to the topic at hand, which is resource management, right? Resource allocation, villager allocation. So right now, 4 and 4, right? 4 villagers on food, 4 on wood. This should look a little different than most starts simply because it is a dock opening. If we click on Salami, you'll see that his next villager is directed to go to the forest here as well to chop more wood. A lot of wood is needed for fishing ships and ships in general. So that brings up the first point here. Your resource, put it this way, your villager allocation has to match your plan, your current set of activities, right? What is it you're trying to accomplish? In this moment, he's trying to get as many fishing ships as he can. Now, he also added holy moly, look at this, 13 sheep behind the scout. This guy is a champion. Nice little herd there. And 5 more here, so 18 total sheep following the scouts. Very nice. What I went to say is that Zalami did add a scout. It says he has 4 military units, but that's because 2 of them are fishing ships. Build a dock. Has a villager also to collect the shoreline fish here, which is a good, efficient way to do this. This villager can also build a tower if you need it. It also might be a good idea to just run the villager away. That way you don't get someone jumped on by your scouts. But as I say that, I think that's silly because as Delhi, it's really no issue in the Dark Age because these fishing ships can shoot with 7 attack. Okay. So now 7 on food, 7 on wood, and 1 on gold. So he's just placed the 1 on gold here. Let's see if he's setting. Yeah, he's going to be setting up another one. Yeah, adding that lumber or that mining camp now. Probably only be 2, maybe 3 on gold. So the goal is to continue making fishing ships But he doesn't necessarily need any more on here. So he's obviously worked out a build order where he has 7 on wood. Jesus, look at this. 19 sheep. Yeah, this is triumphant. So he's worked out a build order where he needs 7 on wood. Okay, but it's actually, I think it's a little deeper than that. The interesting thing to note here is you need 7 on wood to consistently produce fishing chips, plus a little bit of buffer, right? You need buffer for the odd house, you need to build a mill, need to build a mining camp. These kinds of costs continue throughout the game, and you can argue they actually ramp up because you need... Oh, 5 villagers, barbecuing in the sun. Quick note. They ramp up because you need to keep adding production facilities. So he's going to run in here, cause as many problems as he can with these villagers, but probably this thing will go up if I had to guess. Chinese villagers just build really, really quickly. But really good for Zalami, taking out opponents' villagers. That alone is worth the trip here. I think he does need to confirm if his opponent has a dock, or at least confirm his opponent's villager resource allocation, right? So if he sees 8 of his opponent's villagers on wood, you can be pretty sure your opponent has a dock and is pumping out fishing chips somewhere. And is now going up with the Dome of the Faith. Okay, so let's just confirm this, because this just jumped up by 5. I'm assuming what happened is he pulled... Did these villagers become food villagers? Let me just click through the food vills for a second. Yeah, okay. I think what's happened here is some of these villagers are headed to collect food next. But as it stands, I think he only has 5 on food, a bunch on wood. So a common problem I have is when I hit the feudal age, I don't adjust how many villagers I have on food. So it's very easy to balloon on food and almost force myself into needing a fast castle. Those are adding another dock here. So he may... Ah, okay. Yeah, he's not going to be producing fishing ships out of this dock probably. So his wood need won't really increase here. But we're going to keep keeping an eye on this. And I want to be a little bit pedantic about it. The reason is just that I think it's really easy to look at these numbers and really easy to ignore these ones. And they're so useful. The fact that at a glance, like back in the day, in AoE2, you'll see players like the Viper still sometimes doing this. They'll go around to the resources, and they'll do this, and they'll count. Like, oh, I have 8. Imagine you had some here. 3, that's 11. And they'll make little mental notes of how many villagers they have on each resource. That's all just listed for us now. Okay, junk comes out. This may actually be an overcommitment from his opponent here, since no ships. Zalami's committed to not making anything out of this dock at this stage. He's walled off, adding an outpost on the other side. Really nice play from him. So still 7 on wood, and as I say that, he moves 3 more to wood. 6 on gold. So what does that tell us? Delhi have very few gold requirements in the feudal age, except scholars, and you don't need 6 on gold for scholars. So this looks to me like a fast castle. Needs to be a little more careful with his ships. We'll get away here. There are plenty of fish over here, but of course, you do want to grab the ones closer to the wall first. That way, you have more total fish back here once you get pushed away. And this ship actually may get pushed away if and when a little repair there to get the few hit points back. When this thing gets arrow slits, which I am guessing that it will. 3 villagers on stone now. So if you keep in mind that villagers produce about 40 of a resource in a minute, 120 per minute, so a little less than 3 minutes to generate enough stone for a town center, if that's what he wants to do. It's also possible all he wants to do is add arrow slits, which I bet he is now... Oh yeah, he's got those now. Does lose his villager here, unfortunately. Yeah, and it does range this, so he may be able to go back to fishing here. What else is he using stone for? Did he add another tower somewhere? Okay, we'll have to wait and see. Resource-wise, still looking like a fast castle, and 23 on food right now. He's going to go through these berries really quickly. Look at those countdown. Okay, so he has 11 villagers here. 3 over here. And then, right, I keep forgetting all the villagers on... all the fishing ships. Of course, it makes sense. So 10 fishing ships obviously has a pretty huge food income for that reason. So you can see how quickly the food ended up going up here, especially I think once he once he got on berries. He couldn't have been on this for long, seeing how quickly it's counting down with all these villagers here. So he threw a bunch of villagers on here. Trying to think of where they came from. He might have dialed down how many were on wood and just added to the number on berries. So he's going to hit Fast Castle. Or sorry, let's just say he's going to hit the Castle Age. Then the question is, what is the plan from there? So almost has enough gold here. And we're going to watch to see how he adjusts his resources. Stone is the easy one. Once you hit a total, usually you move the villagers away from it. His opponent has already hit the Castle Age. He's now going to go up Compounded Defender with 11 villagers, moving them all off of food. So, whatever his plan is, he obviously doesn't think he needs to collect a ton of food right now. He doesn't need, 1,000 food going into the Castle Age. Wouldn't be surprised to see more villagers move to gold. Archery range. Is that elephants? Maybe that's elephants. 13 on food now. Keeping in mind that most of them, interesting it doesn't go through the fishing ships, which was part of my confusion. Scholar moving out to collect a relic. I was going to say capture a sacred site, but no, that is not the case. Almost at the Castle Age. There he goes. Compound of the Defender. Also means that his stone costs go down. So actually, even at Town Center, it costs a little bit less. So you can probably afford one now, if that's what he wants. Adding a barracks now as well. So the reason why I'm hanging out at his base here, we need to figure out what his plan is. He sees his opponent has stable, and of course Chinese opponent. This basically means you can triple or at least 2.5 times after the latest patch, the production of any particular military building. Sacred site he now has. That in and of itself is going to count as about 5 villagers. So it's kind of like he has 11 villagers on gold right now. He's back to quite a few on food. So is this elephants or not? Men-at-Arms. It's just so many resources I'm trying to add up. And I'm not getting it so far. Relic is coming home. It counts as another couple of villagers on gold. Another relic coming home. So these fishing ships are running out of fish. Something to note, in fact, that one just runs out. So they're going to super saturate this one over here. And that's actually part of why you'll see players like the Viper sending fishing ships to sort of equally saturate a bunch of different spots. That way you don't run into this awkward situation later where they're fighting over who gets to fish the fish. Oh, Imperial Academy here as well. Or is that... No, is that the clock tower? Must be the clock tower. Which makes sense. You'd want that siege forward, potentially. Still wondering why he has the archery range, but I'm hoping to find that out soon. Trying to get some extra wall down. Actually, really, really defensible on this map. Surprised at how defensible it is. Very few walls needed to just wall off huge sections of the map. Or, of course, you can do on the pass, but this is quite guarded by his opponent. Adding just a gate here. Kind of cheeky. Yeah, that needed to finish that, right? This gate is useless, unfinished. It will count as a wall in that case. Loses villager just after it finishes. Checking back to his resource count. 10 on stone now. This has to be a keep drop. What else could it be? In fact, you only need 600 stone for a keep. Either that or it's a ton of stone wall he's planning on putting up. But I don't see why that would be. So far, this is probably not the best example of resource allocation, since he has so much in the bank. 1,000 food. Plus, you never want to be in this position where we have 1,000 food in the bank. Lancer's now in his base. Not good for Zalami. See if and how he manages to deal with it. An elephant does pop out here. Lots of idle vills now. Men-at-arms coming out now as well. And these things go down quite quickly with the elephant and the town center firing away at them. Is this another elephant? No, men-at-arms. Sorry, this is another elephant. Another Tower War elephant. So, I think it's useful, even if you don't remember exactly what a unit costs, you want to remember the approximate ratio. So, even if you just remember the two resources, Tower War elephants are food and gold. So, something to note here is that it's actually really... something this game has nailed is to be really predictable. Oh, this is so cheeky. To be really predictable with what things cost in this game. Is he hitting the units? He is, through the wall. Yeah. I think they used to block it, but I could be wrong on that. And he will try to put that tower up. Yeah, and if he can get up here, there he goes. Pops up. He's going to take so little damage now. 2 per shot. No problem. Actually, it's 1 per shot. They're just double shots. Yeah, this will totally shut this down. Well played by Zlami. So, what I was saying is, can they fit through the gate? Surprised, no units over 3 meters tall through this gate. So this will shut this down really nicely. Really well played here. Lancer's back in his base. Definitely needs to deal with them. So, it's really predictable what unit costs are in this game. Units cost food. That's a given. Let me say, like, I don't know, walking, breathing units cost food. Siege units do not. Siege units cost wood and gold. I think that's pretty predictable. Every other unit costs some... Ooh, look at all these. Oh, these are fishing ships. I thought these were archer ships per se. He's out of fish, so he pretty much might as well use them for something like this. Elephant's coming forward now as well. So, let's take a look. Spearmen are food and wood. The reason why is because they're vanilla. They're not good units, so they cost wood instead of gold. Men-at-arms are food and gold. Why? Because they're good units. They cost gold. So gold is used for spicy units and upgrades, basically. And of course, age-ups. So if we look at the units out of the archery range, archers are basically trash units, right? They're low tier. 30 food, 50 wood. Crossbows, 80 food, 40 gold. So crossbows are spicy units. You can mix them in and they will absolutely shred lancers. So they are higher tier units. Hand cannoneers, 120 food and 120 gold. Now, look at this ratio. 50-50 implies that this is more than... this is like a super high tier unit. Okay, so gold is considered expensive in this game. Now, that's not always true depending on how you analyze it, and it changes at certain points in the game. But keep in mind that gold runs out, whereas food doesn't. Why? Because you can add farms, and farms never even need to be reseeded like they did in games like Age of Empires 2. So even if there's no more wood on the map, your farms will keep producing forever. Okay. So gold then is sort of fundamentally more expensive. Yes, technically you can trade, but managing trade is way more difficult and costs quite a bit more effort, I would argue, than actually farming to get that resource up and going. Just take a look at more of what's going on. Zlami adding these walls and towers all over the place. Honestly, I think this is really cool. I think it would make more sense if somehow you had to have the walls connected. But I think this is pretty neat. This makes quite a lot of sense to me. Gate's still there. Okay, so the fact that this unit is 50-50 food and gold means it is considered very expensive. If your plan is to make hand cannoneers, you need a ton of villagers on gold. Okay, you should have that in mind. If your plan is to make archers, you don't need any, right? Unless, when you want to upgrade, now it's free for Delhi, so it's a little harder to check here for any of the upgrades. Oh, these elephants need to be careful with these spears, but it looks like they may be okay if they targeted them down directly. It looks like they're going to be okay, especially with the healing. Okay, so archers don't need gold. Crossbows need gold. The last unit there was the Tower War Elephant. 400 food, 600 gold. It's swung even further in the direction of gold implying that this unit is even more special and expensive. Will he get away with these elephants alive? He does. If he can heal these up, that's such a big win, because he lost so few units in this battle. So really, really efficient here from Zalami. And as of recently, yo, what's going on? Welcome, welcome, Nilly and fans. Nilly, big fan. Thanks for rating. Excellent work in the last tournament qualifier as well. I watched an awful lot of that. So, as I was saying, resource allocation here for each unit. Okay, so elephants, 400 food, 600 gold. We have to consider this a really expensive unit, right? So if your plan is Tower War elephants, even if that's not a good plan, okay, let's say that's your plan, you had better have, I had better see, like, he has 39 on food here, 6 on gold. I had better see, like, 20 on food and 30 on gold or something like that, okay? So we should almost be able to predict what is being made by what we see on the left here. And even this, like, stone. Why does he have 10 on stone? That has to be more, normally I would say something like a keep, but in this case, he's going with walls and stone wall towers. So we know, obviously, stone expenditure is coming, and there are so few things that rely on stone. He's now busted in with Tower War Elephants, by the way. Minor side note, and there is a keep up here guarding this gold now as well. 21 on gold, 16 on food. So actually, it's closer to that ratio that I described. So I want to look at one more. Does he have a stable? He doesn't have a stable, so I can't look at that just yet. And actually, this game is over. So really well played by Zalami. We're going to check. We'll jump into another game in just a second here. And we'll hopefully look at more unit types, what they cost, how players are managing their resource allocation to make that happen. Anyway, really nice play from Zalami. I always love seeing a good win with Tower War Elephants. Yeah, that's it for me for this video, and I will catch you next time.